time. Get yourself situated as we are also getting ourselves situated. Grab a drink.
Grab a drink and join us.
Actually, I'm gonna go get his soda.
Yeah, go for it. We'll be starting soon. Just working on taking my nails off right now. Did not mean to do that. Whatever I did. Oh, I get it. Okay. And it's 5 o'clock on the dot now.
Oh, how about that?
So thanks for joining us. We kind of just started a little bit earlier to get ourselves settled. So grab a drink, settle in, get cozy while we get set up. Jay's getting his tarot cards now, so if you have tarot cards, grab yours. You can pull a card for us.
I'll listen to more of that psychology podcast again today.
Yeah. The one you were mentioning yesterday, right?
Yeah, and it's literally just called The Psychology Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's by Dr. Scott Barry Kaufman.
Okay.
I think he's a doctor, at least. But one of the episodes I listened to at one point was with the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Nice.
Yeah, it was interesting because they somehow ended up talking again about like the idea of the self being an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. The host, the Barry Kaufman guy, seems to be like hooked on this idea, at least in this part of the like. I'm not listening straight through because like I'll skip a couple episodes if I'm like I really don't want to listen to 40 minutes of that.
Right.
But I'm almost always surprised by the episodes too, so I should probably just listen to it straight through. But either way, if anybody else wanted to listen to it, check it out. That's what it's called.
So anything more today that stood out for you?
No, not particularly. There were some interesting, like, discussions about morality and value and at one point I thought of you because they talked about like a discussion about value and how one of the things they were theorizing on or referencing, like directly related to that concept of opening the floor to discuss value or something to that effect. And I thought, I found the thing that like I've been trying to like verbalize for so long. If I look more into this, I bet like, this is exactly what I've been talking about. I don't know though. I haven't looked into it further.
Did you read that book, The Subtle Art?
No.
That's the one that I just finished.
Yeah, I know. That
recently.
was also partially why I listened.
Yeah. And it sounds like very, like, I feel like rugged and like it's going to be careless, but it's actually very much similar with understanding like your values and holding yourself to things and not really spending so much time being concerned to hold others to those same values, because who cares what they're doing, right? And like accept them as they are and worry about yourself. And it's like obviously easier said than done, but it was very nicely articulated. I think that I did enjoy that.
Yeah, so obviously they discussed that quite a bit. So.
And like connected to the idea of self.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of sort of started there because I think maybe do you remember how that book starts, like what the first chapter's about or anything? Because I think he made it parallel to the beginning, like talking about that topic and the beginning of the book, but I don't remember in what way that
that connection was there. Yeah, I'm not sure I remember, to be honest. Because I was asking because I was curious, like, what connection they were making, but I will probably listen to that podcast.
I'm not done, and I'm 20 minutes in. Like, I guess I really only just started. Yeah, I listen on work, so, like, it's hard. I don't catch everything all the time. It's kind of tough. Sometimes I'm like, that's really interesting. Like, that's a really interesting thought, but I didn't hear the full thing. Just kind of, like, the last 2 sentences where I'm like, very interesting.
Yeah. No, I'll probably give that a listen. I'm curious. I'm not sure if I know who this doctor is. The name is reminding me, but it could be the same last name, but it's reminding me of another book I read on neuropsychology.
And it seems like all of these people know each other. It seems like a very small world. Like the idea of some of this like neuroscience, social science overlap stuff is probably like there are, I don't know, but like it's so often on this podcast specifically that like it's like, he references a work that I'm like, I've heard of that, or I've read that thing, or I'm familiar with.
Right.
Obviously, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but, like, directly referencing Maslow. Like, as a dude, that they're like, we, like, knew him. And, like, so-and-so worked with him on this thing, and, like...
Right.
But, like, that sort of stuff where it's like, it's a very small world for these people because it's so niche or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious about it, and I'm curious if he is the guy that I think he might be, but I don't want to just assume
I wouldn't be
then
surprised, if he was.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I have not been listening too much to like podcasts. I listened to one the other day, but I haven't been listening to even like my news. I've been listening to an audiobook that I'm working through, and that's been my commute.
Were you asking that? Cards to work in tandem today?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Do you mind giving me like one more minute? I have this nail and then the next one.
No, that's fine.
To just take this off, if you don't mind letting me just finish that.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. It's fine with me. Okay.
But yeah, we'll ask the cards. It doesn't matter, do you think? No, never mind. I was going to say like that I've pulled some out of my deck, but I think the whole idea is like we're getting what we need. So we're just going to let the deck do it for us.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's maybe a little unfair to ask the deck to kind of do two different things at once. But
I don't know if anyone's done this before. In the different, like, tarot things that I've watched, they're usually one person. Maybe another person is, you know, I've seen translations, I've seen other types of contributions spiritually.
Thought if you could do a multi-card spread like for yourself by yourself, why couldn't you potentially do a multi-card spread with another person, especially if that person is somebody like super close to you?
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me, like just is like, well, yeah, okay, and of course there's more variables, so like way
Why
looser,
not?
way broader of an interpretation, and you have to like.
Yeah.
Keep all that stuff in mind, but I thought, oh, why not? It seems as reasonable as anything else, right? If it's
Yeah.
just for the sake of interpretation, even.
Well,
that's cool too. It's a fun exercise in that.
I've also seen people read. I'm just gonna get rid of this so I don't spill anything. Read multiple cards. Or I'm sorry, multiple decks, but in different ways. So like they'll pull maybe a spread from one deck, and this is going to signify what I need today, and then surround it. Maybe they use like an oracle deck and they're flipping like 3 cards, or like, I don't know, I did a corner thing, so whatever that was supposed to be. Like maybe those are like quarters of the year, right? Like, I don't know, like your first half, second, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen people use them that way, but still just a singular person. So I think that it's possible. And I think that's really all tarot's about. If you think it's possible, then it's possible. Do you want to like hold my deck for a minute before I like shuffle? Or
yeah, we can do that. We can, you know, shuffle each other's decks a little and what we want to.
And then like be the last one to shuffle and.
Right, and then you take your cards back, right, and you make sure you feel right with them, and then we do our pull. I figure.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I pulled the Emperor.
And I pulled the 6 of coins. Would you like to share about the Emperor first? These
Sure.
are the 2 that we pulled together.
So the Emperor, structure, overseeing power, reversed, it's rigid, inflexible, dominant. The Emperor wears a full beard, excuse me, indicating his power. He is the embodiment of sacred masculine. As the masculine authority, he is the overseer of his kingdom. The Emperor carries a shield like the Empress, but his is reversed in color. With his shield, crown, and scepter, he is seen as a righteous man and a ruler to be respected. When he offers advice, it is from his long experience as a head of state. He can teach his subjects about many things, including leadership and fatherhood. His throne is a seat of power, but also his own confinement. The Emperor represents the structures and laws of the state.
Okay. And I got the 6 of coins. Okay, so the 6 of coins have formed a rose-shaped hexagram with a spiraling center of great force. The background has also changed significantly. The green spirals have created 4 ornate crosses with the same spiraling center. The energies of Earth are harmoniously united. The card is related to great wealth and power. The influence is liberal and just. It shows great prosperity and generosity. It relates to present day rather than future success. A successful conclusion, but not necessarily the end of the matter. It also shows great accomplishment and personal prestige, the Midas touch in business ventures, a positive and rewarding period in the life of the querent. Success has been reached through steady work and application, not an overnight success. Prosperous business dealings, fortunate friends and strong alliances, an exalted position in life which can be demanding but worthwhile. Any thoughts on the two combined?
Not really. I mean, they do sort of like work together, right? Like it's particularly the part where the 6 of coins mentions like success through like
The hard
repetition, hard work. It's like structure, like you know, like that's repetition, schedules. That's all like leadership stuff, kind of. Even if you're doing it for yourself, it's still kind of like because you're managing your time effectively, like you would manage other resources, right? If you're a good leader, you can lead yourself, sort of. And so I think that makes sense that way, I guess. I don't know. Though specifically, like, what it could be telling us or trying to say. Or alluding to or pointing at, I'm not really sure. But, I don't know. Interesting, I guess. I've pulled the 6 of coins.
Yeah, I thought you pulled that before.
And I've only, I haven't, I'm sure I haven't pulled every card because I just haven't been pulling them that long. I only got this deck like in December.
Yeah.
Of last year, so.
Yeah.
I don't really use it outside of the streams anymore. Or I haven't, rather.
I mean, it's pretty interesting for sure.
But yeah, existence. Whoa. It's wild. It's funny. Oh, like, the more we learn, it feels sort of like the less we know, but there's just so many, like, contradictions, like, living contradictions, right? Like, we're so connected that, like, bad stuff is so front and center because it's just so loud that it seems like everything is just awful and the worst, but it's, like, the best time in history to be alive by far. Like, you know what I mean? Like, lifespan, all that stuff is the best. It's really good. It's hard to, like, wrap your head around that as a human being, you know what I mean? Because you're like, really? But it's a pretty good time to be alive still. There's, like, just a lot of that. Like, does anything mean anything? Like, well, does it matter? Like, if things mean something to you, like, then they do. So, does it then it doesn't matter, right? Because like maybe that's it. Maybe that's all anything means. It's just what people assign personal value, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not any less valuable. But once you start examining it, it's like a quantum physics type of thing. It's like a weird, like, oh, once you start observing the thing, it like changes a little bit, and it gets uncomfortable for some reason. You know, at least for me, it feels a little bit uncomfortable. But
interesting.
You know, like, is it a simulation? Again, does it matter? Like, it doesn't really matter. If you feel everything is gonna feel as real as it felt yesterday. If we find out tomorrow everything's a simulation.
Right, if you found that out, like, would it negate really anything that you
I don't think so. I think everything, like, the table wouldn't feel less real because I was told that everything's, even if I was given some sort of proof, I don't think it would, like, break something in my brain that I wouldn't be able to feel physical.
Right.
You know, if it's coded well or whatever, if it is what it is what it is kind of thing. Even if it's not what I would think of as physical reality or what science tells me is physical reality, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know what that would mean. You know what I mean? It's such a weird thing that it's like, again, hard to like wrap your head around.
I could see it mattering for people though, dependent upon their rejections in life, things that had been stacked up against them. I could see people really struggling with that because it's hard for people to be rejected, whether it's, you know, by individuals, by, you know, the justice system, by jobs, like any setback. Yeah,
it's
like,
going to be a difficult pill to swallow.
Right. You're like, who programmed this?
Well, and you don't want to hear that, like, oh, that wasn't real, it like kind of negates or diminishes somehow, even though it doesn't. It very much sounds like it does or would feel like it. I could see, yeah, you're right. People like lashing out a little bit about that sort of, but... Right,
getting very upset by it, but... Then again, is that upset their true upset?
It's the same. It's
right?
People, but, and people do that today about God, right? How often do people get upset where they're like, "Oh yeah, everything happens for..." How many times have you heard everything happens for a reason, huh? And somebody says some awful thing that happened to them, and they're like,
"Right,
what was the reason that thing happened, huh? Yeah, why did that happen? What's going on there?
Well,
what's your reason for that? What's the big mysterious reason?" So it's
just
insane.
Have faith. Have faith in it.
Same deal.
Like, I have more faith that this is nonsensical.
Same deal, different flavor, I think, kind of thing. But it's fun to think about.
It is. It definitely is interesting to think about, for sure. And it makes things interesting, especially when you think of just different areas of your life that you can apply that to. It's like, oh, God. Well, anything else you wanted to add on this evening?
No, that's all the stuff that I heard, really. I can't think of anything else I heard that was interesting.
Okay. I'm going to think more about our tarot cards for sure. I feel like I have to muse on that, but I'm not connecting it. But that there's more there.
Well, we'll be back.
Thank you for joining us. See you next week.
See you next time.